Last week, I sent an invoice for $8,400. The client didn't ask how many hours it took. They asked one question. Did our churn rate drop? And when I said yes, by 18 percentage points, they paid it in 48 hours. No negotiation, no pushback. Here's the thing that broke my brain about that moment. The actual work took me 11 days with AI tools. And I used to do the exact same type of work in a spreadsheet for $65 an hour. So what changed? I didn't get smarter. I didn't hire a team. I just stopped selling hours and started selling outcomes. And that shift, that one reframe, is what this entire video is about. I want to be upfront with you. This isn't a I made $1 million overnight story. This is a 30-day documented experiment. Real clients, real invoices, real mistakes. And I'm going to show you the full breakdown. What I charged, what tools I used, what flopped, and what I do differently. Because here's what nobody in the AI freelancer space is actually showing you. The messy middle, the pricing confusion, the client who ghosted me after I quoted $4,000, the project I underpriced by about $3,000 because I was still thinking in hours. If you're a solo builder, a freelancer, or someone who's been dabbling with AI tools and wondering if there's real money here, this video is specifically for you. Let's set the scene. Before this experiment, I was a generalist freelancer. Data work, some automation, a bit of consulting. Decent money, but nothing special. Then in early 2026, I started noticing something in the market. Upwork reported that AI-related freelance work crossed $300 million in annualized value by late 2025. Job postings for AI-related skills grew 25% year over year in Q1 2025 alone. And here's the stat that really got me. Freelancers working on AI projects were earning 44% more per hour than those on non-AI projects. 44% for the same number of hours. That's not a rounding error. That's a completely different income bracket. So I decided to run an experiment. 3 days. Reposition myself as an AI builder. Document everything. And see what actually happens. But here's the first crack in the conventional wisdom. And this is the part most people completely miss. The McKinsey AI report from May 2026 made a point that should be required reading for every solo builder. They said, stop measuring AI productivity. Start measuring AI outcomes. That's not a semantic difference. That is a fundamental pricing strategy shift. Because when you sell productivity, hours saved, tasks automated, you're competing on efficiency. And efficiency is a race to the bottom. But when you sell outcomes, churn reduced, revenue increased, leads converted, you're competing on results. And results have no hourly rate ceiling. This is the hidden mechanism behind why some AI builders are charging $15,000 for a project that takes them a week, while others are stuck at $75 an hour doing the exact same technical work. Okay, So let me walk you through the actual 30 days. Week 1. I had 0 AI builder clients. I had my existing freelance clients who knew me as a data and automation guy. My first move was to audit what I was already doing and ask, which of these projects could I reframe as an AI outcome? I had one client, a SaaS company, paying me $1,200 a month for monthly reporting. I looked at their actual pain point. They weren't paying me for reports. They were paying me because their sales team was flying blind on churn signals. So I rebuilt the whole thing using a combination of Claude for data interpretation, N8N for automation, and a simple Airtable dashboard. It took me 4 days. And then I repackaged it, not as monthly reporting, as an AI-powered churn-only warning system. Same data, completely different framing. And I raised the retainer to $2,800. The client said yes immediately. And that's when I realized I'd been leaving money on the table for months. But I want to be honest about the tools here, because there's a lot of hype, and I don't want to oversell this. The actual stack I used in week 1 was pretty lean. Claude Sonnet for data analysis and interpretation. It's genuinely better than GPT-4o for structured reasoning tasks in my experience. N8N for the automation layer, self-hosted, so my ongoing cost was basically 0. Airtable for the client-facing dashboard, and Loom for async client communication so I wasn't burning time on calls. Total monthly tool cost for this project, about $40. Revenue from the repackaged retainer, $2,800 a month. That's a 70x return on tool spend. And that margin, that's what the AI builder model actually looks like when it works.
Week 2 is where it gets more interesting and more uncomfortable. I landed a new client through a LinkedIn post I wrote about AI automation for e-commerce. They wanted a customer support chatbot. Standard stuff. And here's where I made my first big mistake. I quoted it hourly. $95 an hour. Estimated 40 hours. So $3,800 total. They said yes. I built it in 18 hours, using Cursor for the code, Claude API for the intelligence layer, and VoiceFlow for the conversation design. 18 hours, which means I effectively paid myself $211 an hour. Not bad. But here's the thing. The chatbot reduced their support ticket volume by 34% in the first 2 weeks. If I'd priced that on outcomes, say 20% of the first month's support cost savings, I would have charged somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 for the same work. I left $3,000 on the table because I defaulted to the hourly safety blanket. Now, here's where the investigation gets really interesting, because I started asking, who's actually making serious money as an AI builder right now, and how are they pricing? And the patterns are pretty clear once you look at the data. Process automation projects, the kind where you're replacing a manual workflow with an AI pipeline, are going for $15,000 to $75,000 per project in 2026. AI integration into existing systems, $10,000 to $50,000. Custom AI agent development, $5,000 for a simple agent, up to $150,000 for multi-agent systems. And monthly retainers for ongoing AI implementation support, $5,000 to $15,000 a month. These aren't outlier numbers. These are the market rates for builders who've made the outcome pricing shift. The hourly freelancers doing the exact same technical work are charging $80 to $200 an hour and wondering why their income feels capped. And it gets worse for the hourly crowd, because here's the mechanism that's quietly destroying the traditional freelance pricing model. When you use AI tools, you get faster, way faster. AI-enabled freelancers report 25 to 40% faster delivery times, which means if you're billing hourly, getting better at your job literally makes you less money. You finish in 18 hours instead of 40, congratulations, you just cut your invoice in half. This is the trap, and it's why Cloudflare's recent announcement that AI made 1,100 jobs obsolete, even as their revenue hit a record high, should be a wake-up call. The companies aren't paying for time anymore, they're paying for outcomes. And the solo builders who figure that out first are the ones capturing the premium.
Let me show you the math on this, because it's actually pretty simple once you see it. Traditional hourly model, you charge $100 an hour. A project takes 40 hours. You make $4,000. You get better with AI tools. Same project now takes 20 hours. You make $2,000. You've literally punished yourself for improving. Outcome-based model. The same project saves the client $30,000 a year in operational costs. You charge 25% of first-year value, $7,500. You complete it in 20 hours. Your effective hourly rate is $375. And here's the kicker. The client is thrilled because they're still getting a 4x return on what they paid you. This isn't theoretical. This is how the top AI builders are structuring every single engagement. And it's why the gap between the top 10% of AI freelancers and the median is growing wider every quarter. Okay, back to the 30-day timeline. Week 3. This is where the $8,400 invoice happened. I got a referral from the SaaS client whose churn system I'd built to a mid-size e-commerce brand. Their problem? They were losing customers at the 90-day mark and had no idea why. Classic churn mystery. I didn't pitch a chatbot. I didn't pitch automation. I pitched a specific outcome. I'll identify your top 3 churn triggers and build an automated intervention system. If we don't reduce 90-day churn by at least 10 percentage points in 60 days, I'll refund half the fee. That guarantee framing, I cannot overstate how much it changes the conversation. They went from "let me think about it" to "when can you start" in the same call. Here's exactly how I built the churn system, because I want to be specific, not vague. Step 1. I used Claude to analyze 18 months of customer data the client exported from their Shopify store. Not just purchase history, support tickets, email open rates, return patterns. Claude identified 3 behavioral clusters that predicted churn with about 78% accuracy. Step 2. I built an N8N workflow that monitors those signals in real time and triggers personalized email sequences through their existing Klaviyo account. Step 3. I set up a simple Notion dashboard so their team could see churn risk scores without touching any code. Total build time, 11 days. Tool costs for the project, roughly $180 in API calls and subscriptions. Invoice, $8,400. And yes, churn dropped 18 points in the first 45 days. Now let me give you the full 30-day invoice breakdown, because this is the part I promised, and I'm not going to hide the numbers. Week 1, retainer upgrade on existing client, $2,800. Week 2, chatbot project, hourly priced, $3,800. Week 3, churn system, outcome priced, $8,400. Week 4, 2 smaller projects, 1 AI content pipeline for a media company at $2,200, and 1 that I'm going to talk about in a second because it went sideways. Total gross revenue for 30 days, $17,200. Not $100,000, not a yacht. But here's the context. My previous best month as a generalist freelancer was $6,800. So this was a 2.5x increase in 1 month. And my tool costs for the entire month, Claude Pro, N8N hosting, Cursor, Airtable, a few API calls, came to $340. Operating margin, about 98%. Okay, the project that went sideways, because I said I'd be honest, and I meant it. Week 4, I took on a client who wanted an AI sales agent, something that could qualify leads and book calls automatically. I quoted $5,500 outcome-based, signed the contract, started building. And about halfway through, I realized the client's CRM data was a disaster. Inconsistent fields, duplicate records, no standardization. The AI agent I was building was essentially trying to navigate a maze with half the walls missing. I spent 3 extra days just cleaning data I hadn't scoped for. Ended up delivering something functional, but not great. Client paid, but left a lukewarm review. I made $5,500, but the effective hourly rate after the extra time was closer to $80. Lesson: always do a data audit before you quote. I now charge a $500 discovery fee for every new project. Non-negotiable. So who's actually winning in this market right now? Let me follow the money, because the real-world numbers are kind of staggering. Maor Shlomo built an AI app builder entirely alone, base 44, and sold it to Wix for $80 million in June 2025, 6 months after launch. The platform had 250,000 users and was generating $189,000 in profit in a single month before the acquisition. Danny Postema built Headshot Pro solo and scaled it to $300,000 per month in revenue. Sarah Chen launched an AI-powered design agency in January 2025 using ChatGPT+, Canva Pro, and Zapier, and hit $420,000 in annual revenue working 25 hours a week. These aren't anomalies. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodi gave it 70 to 80% odds that the first billion-dollar one-person company would emerge by 2026. We're living in that window right now.
But here's the part that should matter most to you. Not the outlier stories, but the structural advantage that makes all of this possible. A full solopreneur AI tech stack in 2026 costs between $3,000 and $12,000 per year. That's your entire operating cost. Compare that to hiring even one junior employee. You're looking at $60,000 to $80,000 in salary alone, before benefits, before management overhead. AI tools can automate 10 to 40% of your workday, freeing up 20 plus hours every week. Which means a solo AI builder with the right stack can match the output of a 3 to 4 person team and charge accordingly. That's not productivity. That's use. And use is what turns a $6,800 month into a $17,200 month without adding a single headcount. Now let me get into the specific skills that are actually driving premium rates right now, because not all AI skills are created equal. On Upwork, AI video generation and editing grew 329% year over year. AI integration, connecting AI tools to existing business systems, grew 178%. AI chatbot development grew 71%. But here's the counterintuitive finding. The highest paid AI builders aren't necessarily the most technical. The real premium goes to people who combine domain expertise with AI implementation. A builder who understands e-commerce churn and can build an AI system to fix it is worth more than a pure engineer who's never won a store. Domain knowledge plus AI execution. That's the combination that unlocks the outcome pricing model. Because you can speak the client's language and translate it into a system. So what does the actual positioning look like? Because this is where most solo builders get stuck. They know the tools, they can build the thing, but they don't know how to present themselves in a way that commands premium rates. Here's the framework I used. Stop calling yourself a freelancer or developer. Start calling yourself an AI systems builder for a specific industry. My LinkedIn headline went from data and automation freelancer to AI systems builder for SaaS and e-commerce. I reduce churn and increase LTV using AI. That's not just marketing fluff. It's a signal to the right clients that you understand their specific problem. And specific problem solvers command specific prices. Generalists get compared on hourly rates. Specialists get compared on outcomes.
Let me give you the exact pricing framework I'm now using, because I've tested this over the 30 days, and it's working. There are 4 tiers. Tier 1, Discovery Audit. $500, non-negotiable. Covers data review and a written recommendation. This filters out bad clients and funds your research time. Tier 2, Quick Build Projects. Chatbots, simple automations, single integrations. $3,000 to $6,000 flat fee. Outcome defined. Tier 3, System Builds. Churn systems, lead qualification pipelines, AI-powered dashboards. $6,000 to $15,000 with a performance guarantee. Tier 4, Ongoing Retainer. Monthly monitoring, optimization, and support. $2,500 to $5,000 per month. The retainer is the key, because it converts a one-time project into recurring revenue. And recurring revenue is what transforms a good month into a stable business. Here's the open question I want you to sit with for a second, because it took me about 3 weeks to really internalize it. If a client's churn drops by 18 percentage points, and let's say that's worth $200,000 in retained revenue over the next year, is $8,400 expensive? Or is it the best ROI they'll get from any vendor this year? The answer is obvious when you frame it that way. But most solo builders never frame it that way. They're so focused on justifying their hourly rate that they never step back and calculate what their work is actually worth to the client. That's the mental shift. Not a new tool, not a new skill. A new way of thinking about value. And it's available to you right now with whatever tools you're already using. Now, let's talk about what this means for you specifically.
If you're a solo builder or freelancer who's been using AI tools to get faster, but you're still billing hourly, you're in the trap I described. You're punishing yourself for getting better. Here's what to do about it, starting today. First, audit your last 3 projects. For each one, ask, what business outcome did my work enable? Not what did I build, what changed for the client? Revenue, cost, time, risk. Pick one metric. Second, calculate the approximate value of that outcome, even a rough number. Third, compare that number to what you charged. I bet for most of you, you charged less than 10% of the value you created. That gap, that's your pricing opportunity.
And here's the one thing I'd tell you to do today. Not this week, not when you finish your current project. Today. Write one LinkedIn post or one cold outreach message that describes a specific outcome you can deliver for a specific type of client. Not, I build AI automations. Something like, I help SaaS companies reduce churn using AI behavior analysis. If I don't move the needle in 60 days, you get half your money back. That specificity, that guarantee, that outcome framing. It's what separates the builders charging $75 an hour from the ones charging $8,400 for 11 days of work. The market is there. Upwork alone has $300 million in annualized AI freelance demand. Startups are actively turning to AI builders to scale. The demand isn't the problem. The positioning is. So, here's the full picture. The investigation conclusion, if you want to call it that. The AI builder label isn't a job title. It's a pricing strategy. It's a signal to clients that you deliver measurable outcomes using AI systems, and that you're willing to be held accountable to those outcomes. The builders making $15,000 to $75,000 per project aren't necessarily more technical than you. They've just made the mental shift from selling time to selling results. The 30-day experiment proved it to me personally. $17,200 in 1 month, 98% operating margin, 2.5x my previous best. Not because I learned a new tool, because I changed what I was selling. And the market is only getting bigger. The global AI market is projected to exceed $1 trillion by 2031. The builders who figure out outcome pricing now are going to look very smart in 3 years. In my next video, I'm breaking down the exact N8N workflow I used to build that churn early warning system. The one that generated the $8,400 invoice. I'll show you the specific nodes, the Claude API prompts I used, and how to connect it to Klaviyo or any email platform your client is already using. If you want to see how the actual build works under the hood, that's the one to watch. And if you're already building AI systems for clients, drop your current pricing model in the comments. Hourly, project-based, retainer, hybrid. I'm genuinely curious where most builders are right now. Because the data says most of you are undercharging. And I want to know by how much.